And I said to him, he wasn't making conversation with me anymore. Like, it was just so painful. And I said to him, so we both agree this isn't a match, right?
Good for you.
Welcome back to Hello and Goodbye. I'm Leanna.
I'm Jared.
We are back.
We are.
The bitches are back.
After a little hiatus, we're back here.
Yeah, we are on my bed.
Yeah.
Doing just a quick catch up before.
Yeah.
Because it's been a long time since I've seen you.
Yeah, it was nice to get to like chat with you and your mom, and we just hung out at the table. And
it's been like a few weeks, actually.
More than that. It's been over a month probably
it's been wild.
Since we've hung out.
And so much has happened.
I can't wait to hear the updates on your life.
So there's been a lot going on, and we want to share that. But we have some updates for the show. So we're going to talk about that at the end.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys liked the best ofs.
I had one of my male friends reach out to me and like, hey, because I know that he listens once in a while, and he's like, I'm walking down the streets of New York City, where he lives, and he's like, I like had to stop walking and like laugh out loud when I got to the part where I was talking about my man crush on Jamie Wood, and like and asking him to be in a men's group with me.
And thanks to all our guests who like reshared stuff for us. Like, everybody was so cool about it.
That was super cool. Yeah.
Okay, so it's been interesting for me. So you got COVID.
I did.
And then you're better now.
Yep.
And then you went to a meditation retreat.
I did.
And then during that time, I was playing a lot of pool. So I was at the billiards hall a lot. I was hanging out with someone casually that had been in this podcast on and off.
Yes, the same someone from the pool hall.
Yeah, the Republican.
Okay.
And, we actually were continuing to kind of see each other until like a couple weeks ago when he is very busy with school, and it just felt like the same thing of I was the one pursuing and doing all the work. And so I was like, let's just pause this, which I think he was more than relieved to do that.
More than relieved.
Which is telling.
He's like, I totally understand, and I am more than relieved.
Yeah. And then he hasn't really reached out a lot. I still see him, and I just think in his eyes everything's fine, and I still feel a little butthurt about it. But it's like, it is what it is. I think it's the right decision.
What are you going to do when he hits on you at some point in the near future?
Well, that takes me to my next update.
Okay, great.
So that happened, and then basically there was someone else who kind of stepped in.
Oh, okay.
And so that has been like very recent. And I'm just trying to go with the flow of that. Same vicinity.
Got it. Okay. I was like, am I not supposed to ask? Okay, I get it. Okay.
But I don't know how I'm feeling. I want to be excited and like in it, but I feel I'm still hung up on the last guy. And I don't feel I don't want to rush into anything, and I don't think he does either, but he's definitely, I can tell he's in it more than I am.
He's like super into you. Yeah.
Yeah. And it feels, I feel like I'm becoming a little pulled back on it. I guess I can't, I'm just at the place right now where like I can't imagine like sleeping with someone new right now. And so I know that's like ultimately like what it would lead to. Yeah. And I just am not there at all. Like I can't picture it.
Yeah, so you're not wanting it to progress in that way, and there's a part of you that's not wanting to like cut it off.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, there's going to have to be a conversation. I mean, we've agreed to take things slowly, but we're going to have to talk about, well, what's slow for me compared to what's slow for him.
Yeah.
And what boundaries are there. And I just...
Well, and I think what's hard is saying to him, I would like to take things slowly. Is that actually honest for where you're at?
Oh, 100. Oh, you mean like in moving forward at all?
Yes.
I think so. I think so. We're hanging out today, and the last time I saw him, I was like really excited, and then it was a little bit of sent me like a sexual innuendo thing, and it was like a turn off.
Yeah. And
so I've kind of like detached a little bit.
Yeah.
So I need to have that conversation and see how he does with it. You know?
Well, and also, I mean, I don't know. I think you and I differ on this, but I think sometimes, in a way, you're teaching people through positive and negative reinforcement. You know, if they, do or say things that they think are, flirty or designed to, make you into them or whatever, just by then withholding it, attention and a non-response is kind of a, hey, I don't like that.
Yeah.
And then if people are smart and picking up what we're putting down, then they'll just adjust. So maybe he will. Who knows?
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. So anyway, so that's going on. I have actually decided to pull back from pool a little bit. I felt like I was really getting sucked in, and that it was an escape for me from my life and feeling kind of down about my career. And we actually recorded this a few weeks ago, but I cut it out of the episode. I just didn't feel like it was ready yet. But I've had some clientele that have found out about the podcast and then decided to leave my services, and that was really disappointing and made me feel a little nervous actually moving forward. And so I've been thinking about that, and I've noticed that the other thing with this new guys, I've noticed that when I'm into someone, I lose my creativity. It's and I saw something on Instagram and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so me. But it's something about an anxious attachment style, codependent, or a fear of abandonment that's very common because they're so focused on not being abandoned and well, what does the other person think of me, or was this okay, or are they mad at me, or anything like that.
Just you're pouring all of your energy into that, and there's none left. So I have all these ideas, but I don't have the energy to move forward with them. I'm trying, I'm really, really trying. So I'm dealing with that, trying to work through that, going to the gym a lot, which has been really great. Yeah.
And
I told you when I saw you, you look super healthy and energetic.
You. Yeah, I build muscle so fast. If someone wanted to train me to be in a muscle building, I am the perfect candidate for that.
Oh yeah, maybe you should do that.
No, absolutely no.
You want to be a professional bodybuilder?
No.
What if I didn't see you for a month and I walked in and you looked like the fucking Incredible Hulk,
So yeah, it's interesting though, because people that have seen me recently that weren't seeing me consistently or whatever, even my mom has said something, some people at pool hall, everybody's saying, you just seem much more relaxed these days. You seem relaxed, you look calm, you're not stressed and all of that. And I've come to the conclusion that I think it's because I've never given less fucks.
That's wonderful.
Than I do in my life right now.
I'm so happy for you. That's so great to hear.
Because I think for so long I've worked so hard at so many things, or been in relationships, worked at relationships, tried this, tried that, and it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
The way that I had planned, all of the expectations. We just watched a video about expectations.
Yep.
And now I have zero expectations on anything.
Well, I mean, I think that's the fucking trick to life that I can't figure out, and I don't think any of us ever fully absolutely figure it out. Is how do you do things to make your life what you want it to be in terms of career, in terms of relationships, in terms of all these things, but not get so attached to it has to be like this. Because if you're attached to something like that, you will always be miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's never going to be, like real life is never going to live up to the perfect expectations in our minds, right? Yeah.
Well, and that's all of this, like, this kind of goes into like all of the manifestation bullshit. A lot of teaching, like, well, when you let something go, like when you're not looking, it'll find you or whatever.
Yeah.
There's part of that's true in that it's not like you have to stop looking to find love, but it's like if you're looking with expectation, you're putting out an energy.
Yeah.
Right? You're putting out an energy of whether it's desperation or anxious or whatever. And not saying that you can't find love in those spaces in your life, but you're going to be probably more content if you do it the former way.
Yes.
Like without the expectation, without necessarily, like you and I are on the dating apps, but like I went on one of the worst dates I've ever been on.
Oh, I can't wait.
Last week.
That's funny.
So it's just interesting. It's just been on I'm in a weird fucking place in my life right now.
But like weird in a good way, it sounds like. I mean, it sounds to me like growth. Does it feel that way to you?
I guess so, in that like I'm just accepting things as they are. Like I'm a little worried about finances right now and my career and my job. And so I've been like applying to all these random jobs. No one will hire me because I'm a 35-year-old who has been self-employed for 15 years. I have no skill set other than teaching piano and teaching yoga and having a podcast that's about comedy, sex, and dating. And everybody's like, ah!
I think this is what's so hard about hiring people is there's a million jobs that you would be great at and that people would be lucky to have you in, but it's so hard to get that from a resume and a cover letter.
100%.
Like, and actually, if maybe this might be good advice or not, but I would encourage you, as you're throwing stuff out there, like sort of take the give no fucks attitude into like how you write a cover letter. Of just like, hey, like, it may seem weird because I'm 35 and blah, 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 but, like, this is who I am. Like, this is why I'm applying for this job and why I think I could do a good job. Just, like, fully put it out there without, like... Because, like, if you're trying to write a cover letter from, like, oh, I have to, like, sound good and cover all my bases so that whatever they're looking for, I say something about it, Instead, like, just, I don't know, like, throw it out there, maybe.
I love that.
Yeah?
I really do, yeah.
Yeah, give it a shot.
Yeah, and also, if you're listening and you're hiring, I'm looking for something part-time.
Let's go.
That I can make my own schedule around.
Remote.
Or weekends,
You'd
remote.
You'd be great for a remote position.
Yeah. So anyway.
Tell
me, before I share this horrible date, tell me about you.
So, had a good experience on the meditation retreat. I was volunteering, so it wasn't as intense, which I needed. I don't think I was in a good enough headspace to actually do the full deep dive. That was really good. Kind of a funny story is like, so I got to talk to like one of the teachers at the end, because even though I'm volunteering, which means like I didn't have to be silent and I could talk with the other volunteers while we were in the kitchen cooking food for all the students and stuff. You're still meditating like 3.5, 4 hours a day. And so that's just its own ups and downs, right? And so at the end, I like went to the teacher and I was like, I feel like I'm not a good meditator because like all these, in some of the teachings, they talk about like these stages you'll get to. And I'm like, I've been doing this for like 4 years. I've gotten to like 0 of them. And the teacher was like, that's very common, like blah, blah, blah. And then I said, also, there's this part of the teaching where they talk about like, so part of it is like a loving kindness meditation, right? And like one of the things in the guided meditations that you sometimes listen to on a retreat, the main teacher will say like, it's kind of like, may I be free from anger and hatred and ill will and stuff like that. And every time he said that, I don't really relate to it because I don't feel like I have hate in my heart for like other people. But I said to the teacher, I was like, what if you have hatred for yourself? And he looked at me, his eyes got like real big, and his response was like, oh, you don't know? That's like the main one. Oh. He was like, that's like the biggest one for everyone. Oh. And I was like, oh, okay. And so that, like, we had like a good talk about that. It was really like normalizing and stuff like that. But it was like, that was one of the things that I've realized that meditating is a way of like holding a mirror up to your mind and like seeing what's in there. And like, so sort of seeing that, which for me, I think I've always buried the more depressive self, like loathing feelings that I think everybody has, but I think I have a lot of. I've always buried that beneath anxiety and being a workaholic and alcohol and compulsive dating and all these things. So it's been interesting, like sitting with that. And so since I got back from the retreat, like talking about some of those realizations in therapy. And so I've had some like really good therapy sessions and feel like I'm in a good space. I'm dating a little bit and like, you know, had a couple dates with people that like had a nice time, like, but like, I don't know. I've been like trying to do the thing of like go on a second date even if you're not sure, but like
we're both so bad at that.
But I haven't really done that.
Yeah.
But no, have I had? I guess I've had a couple second dates, but like I don't think there's going to be a third date in either one of the cases. But yeah, that's what's been going on. I already told you this, but I spent 12 minutes in the cold plunge tank today.
Yes.
That felt really good. So still cold plunging, loving it. But yeah, that's what's going on with me.
Before we kind of went into our best ofs, you had talked about how you were in a bit of a depression. How are you feeling now?
I think better for sure. I don't feel like, I feel like a new person. You know, like, I think that was part of what I had to get over going on this retreat. Like, that was part of what was some lows for me, was I went in a big way of being like, oh, this has to fix what's wrong with me. Like, this is the thing I've been waiting for that's going to cause some sort of breakthrough. And then when it was like the retreat was about to end and it hadn't, I like started like really freaking out and like feeling scared of like, you know, and like awful about myself and whatever. And then kind of coming all the way around to like, no, like, you know, like you don't need that. And so I do feel like I'm in a good place. Yeah. But I wouldn't say that like I'm cured, you know? Like it's hard to tell. Does that mean like, so when you've had like really depressive times in your life, like do you feel like you've like sort of snapped out of them, or just gradually without noticing like things started to feel differently?
So for me, it's a little bit of more of a snapping. Like I'll notice, like I'll be like, oh, I'm in a better mood today. I have the energy to do my laundry and make my bed. And sometimes I will like just force myself to make my bed anyway, because I know that like if I make my bed, then it's like, oh, okay, I've set some stuff up in my life that if I can do this, then I can do the next thing or whatever. But I'm also better now at honoring my energy level and like what I have to give without necessarily beating myself up for being lazy, or if I feel like too many days have gone by, I'm like, okay, Leanna, you gotta, like, it's time now. You rested, like you need to get to work. So I don't know. I think mine is more like, I think you were in a season, and I think mine is more like a wave. It's up and down and up and down, and it kind of hits me at, you know, it could be a couple days a week, or, you know, it's usually not like a full on episode, although sometimes it is. Which is mainly situational for me.
Yeah, well, and I appreciate that, because I think, oh, shoot, I just lost my train of thought. But yeah, I think actually one of the things that I think I am feeling better in some ways, but I also think I'm just accepting where I am. I think that's probably what I got from the retreat in a really nice way. So
Nice.
Yeah, and actually that's so funny that you talked about sort of like honoring where you are, because when you were talking earlier about like not having the creative energy when you're seeing someone, I like almost said that to you, like, okay, so that's okay.
I know.
Just be there, right? Like,
I know.
Yeah.
But like when you're broke and like trying to make a name for yourself, it's a little harder, you know?
Yeah, you're like, who's going to tell my car payment that I need to honor where I'm at? That's funny.
Okay, so let me tell you quick about this date.
Yes.
So I had told you that I had matched with someone, because, you know, I'm not, like, in a relationship. I'm still trying to keep my options open.
Yeah.
And I had told you that I had been on Hinge, and I had matched with this guy, and he works at a university in our town.
Oh, yeah.
There's only one, so do the math.
Yeah.
And that you were like, I told you, like, what position he was, and you were like, yeah, you don't want to go out with him. So anyway, what happened is we had very little talk before the date, but he had said something like, I want to take you out to drinks. And I was like, okay. I was like, when? He's like, Saturday. And I'm like, sure. And then I never hear from him.
Yeah.
So then, just because I was being cheeky and honestly I didn't care, like back to the give no fucks thing, I sent him a message on Monday. I said, hey, I really loved our date on Saturday.
That's great.
Like, and not thinking like he would respond or whatever, you know. And he responded. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I had this, like all these excuses. He's like, when are you free? I'd love to take you out. And so then we set a date, and I said, well, where do you want to go? And then he said the Oyster Bar, which is like my favorite place in Redlands. So I'm like, okay, he has great taste. Like, let's do this.
Yeah.
So his profile comes across a little douchey.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this could be one of two ways. Either he just looks douchey and he's not, or he is.
Which one do you think has the greater likelihood?
So I walk in, and he barely looks at me and then turns his head away. He's like sitting at the bar. He doesn't even sit down. I'm sorry, he's standing at the bar. Doesn't even sit down. And I'm like, okay, hi. I was like driving the conversation. He was barely giving me eye contact. He wouldn't sit down. It was like really weird. He had like this hair that he kept like, he'd put his hands and he just like kept flipping his hair back and all of this stuff. And I know the owner, and I just kept looking at the owner, and like, I was like, like I was giving him faces. The bartender, like everybody was like, this is weird. So anyway, when the bartender came over and like took her, or was going to take our order, he tried to go in. The bartender's like, what do you guys? And I could see him like go in front of me. And I was like, no. I'm like, I'm ordering first. So I said, I'll have blah, 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 blah. And then he was able to order whatever.
Yeah.
But he talked about himself the whole time, talked about all of his accomplishments. He's doing this, and he owns this, and he has this.
So did he ever like actually like turn to you and talk to you?
Barely. It was like very random. If he asked me anything about myself, it was seldom, and he would cut me off mid-sentence. So at the end, which is like an hour, maybe, a bartender asked me, would you like another? I'm like, I'm good.
That's a long ass time.
I know. Well, maybe it was like 45 minutes. I don't remember.
Okay.
But anyway, so I could tell he didn't want to pay.
Yeah.
So I took my card out and I threw it down. He's like, oh, okay. Like, he was more than happy for me to put my card down.
So then, and he put his card down.
Yeah, so we split it. And I said to him, he wasn't making conversation with me anymore. Like, it was just so painful. And I said to him, so we both agree this isn't a match, right?
Good for you.
And he was like, oh, yeah, totally. And, like, I don't know if that's actually how he felt or if that was a reaction
he was, like, saving
to
face.
My boldness.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I'm just like, it took forever for the bartender to come get our check. I turned it in front of him. I turned the cup and like, pushed it.
Hello, card's here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, so it was done. And so we got up, and I'm like, we were walking, and I said, well, listen, if you do need recommendations for Redlands, because he was kind of new, I said, I'm more than happy. Like, I'll give you my number. More than happy to give you some recommendations. Oh, okay. Yeah. But, like, no follow through with that.
Yeah.
So anyway, he was parked in the parking garage, and I had to keep going. So anyway, he turns to me, he goes, okay, bye, gives me a peace sign, and starts walking away. Like, not even like, I'm like, hey, come here. And, like, I gave him a hug or whatever, but it was, could not have been more awkward. He's a horrible person.
Well, I'm glad that you sort of called it what it is.
Yeah.
I think that's cool as hell. And part of me was wondering if, like, where your story was going was for you to, like, do that, like, right away. Like, hey, dude, like, so, like, you're not looking at me, like, you know, like, we don't have to keep doing that. You know, like, we don't even have to order. Like,
Yeah.
You know, like if it was like, that's so weird that he was like that immediately and
disassociated.
That noticeably, like, just like, like.
Yeah. Well,
because also, you, like, I've seen your profile. You look like your profile. You know, like, you would expect that that's what.
Right, and I looked super cute. I had, like, 2 braids. I had, like, my stomach was showing. I was a little tan. Like, I looked adorable.
Yeah.
So if he wasn't, like, maybe he wasn't attracted to me. I don't know. But it's so funny that you say that because within 2 minutes, I knew. I was like, I can't sit here and do this. And I almost said something in 2 minutes. I almost was like, you know what? I don't think this is a good match. But then I was like, this would be great content.
That's great. Although I wonder, like, if you were like, hey, I'm not really feeling this energy, and it seems like you're not either, so, like, let's not even order. I'm just going to take off. Like, and just, like, what he would have done is fascinating to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, what's cool, though, is I was getting ready to go walk to my car and go home, and I was texting my friend Allison. I was like, you would never believe I was so right, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm going to go back and I'm going to get myself a glass of wine.
Good for you.
So I went back and sat down, and then, of course, like, some other guys were hitting on me. And I'm sure they thought they were going home with me. But I was just like, oh, yeah. Anyway, I had a friend that had showed up. He teaches in the same building as me. And I had ordered some fries, and I got a glass of wine. And I went to pay out my bill, and they had covered it.
Aww. Did you tell the bar? I mean, it's because they saw the whole thing.
They all saw it. They all saw it. And the bartender was like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, it was just, like, super awkward and all of that. But they covered my bill, and it was so sweet.
Oh, that's sweet.
So if you're in Redlands, Oyster Bar, that's where it's at. And they're sweet.
Nice.
Okay, so I just wanted to talk just to kind of, like, wrap this up. I know this is shorter than normal. It's shocking how short this is.
Yeah, we always go long.
So kind of now giving some background about, you know, creativeness, and there's a lot going on, a lot of ideas that I have, and I just need more time.
Yeah.
I need more time. This break, the best ofs, was a really great break for me to kind of just run away from my life for a little bit. Mm-hmm. And now that I'm kind of now neutralizing, mm-hmm. I have so many things that I want to be doing with this podcast, with other creative endeavors, with some wellness stuff and some, like, other things that I've been looking into and working on, and I want to have this space to do it. And I don't know how long that space is going to be, mm-hmm. But I'm not going anywhere.
Yep.
I'm not going anywhere, but I'm just needing a little break.
Yeah, well, and I think, like, the way I would summarize it, and tell me if this is accurate, is, like, you are still committed to, like, the mission that got us to start the show, mm-hmm. and that this is a time of, like, transition for the show, and you're putting a lot of energy and time and thought into sort of how things move forward, and there's a lot of, like, really cool stuff that you're excited to share with people what that will look like, but it just needs a little more time in the incubator.
Yeah, like, I want to do some writing and some recording of some other things, and kind of figuring out how maybe yoga can be more implemented, and so there's just a lot going on. But with that, right, with all that said, I'm on social media, you're on social media, the podcast is on social media. So if you want to stay, you know, updated with our lives, like, follow us there.
Yep. Yeah, and I think just sort of, like, I think what we're saying is, like, sort of, hey, bear with us. There's some really cool stuff coming that we're excited to debut and that we think people are really going to dig. And stay tuned. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Okay, well, we love you guys. If you are subscribed to the Patreon, feel free to unsubscribe or pause your account or whatever, because obviously that will be paused as well.
Yep.
But you can still share this podcast. You can share with friends. You can still order merchandise. Mm-hmm. You can still follow us on social media. You can still rate and review.
Yep.
All of those things. We're still getting downloads. So it still helps our podcast grow, whether we're, you know, consistent at this time or not.
Yeah.
And we, above all, like, we love and appreciate all of you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
We wouldn't
for
be here without you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, until we see you.
Yeah. Bye for now.
Goodbye for now, and give no fucks.
Exactly.
All right, bye, guys.